advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media used was found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings. There is a comical element to everything I say. Do not take it personally.
Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to delve into the budget of Meghan and Harry and have a look at their finances that we, the British taxpayer, are currently still funding. We're still paying for their security. They are currently renting an £8 million mansion in LA. It has been disclosed as of yesterday. So they're renting this elaborate mansion. They've moved all of their house and home and baby to LA from Canada, and we are still funding this. Now, a lot of people who have been studying the royal family and studying their finances believe that Meghan and Harry can't really afford to live that A-lister life unless they start booking some real high paying jobs. They can't afford to live the lifestyle that they are trying to live. So I came across quite a few publications, and one of them is called the Daily Star, and this is an old article. It's oldish. It was published on April 5th and it's titled "Fears for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's Financial Future as Bills Mount Up." So they are basically just saying in this article that they believe that Meghan and Harry really are going to struggle to become financially independent, especially now that we have the knock-on effect of the COVID, which has affected multiple people and loads of people all around the world. Even including some of my family members have been adversely affected by this. So this is a very serious issue that we're all trying to deal with as quickly as possible, but nature has to run its course, right? The person who wrote this article basically made a statement and just says security is not cheap. For them, you are dealing with multiple personnel and around the clock at that. You have to also account for travel and other expenses, which is true. We know that Meghan and Harry like to travel around a lot, and they currently have their security team being dragged around LA as they are, drumming up PR and interest for Meghan's latest adventure, the Disney Elephant documentary that she done. And I believe that probably has really bad ratings, hence she's hit the streets. She hasn't even brushed her hair, guys. From what I've seen in the latest photos, she hasn't even brushed her hair. Meghan is looking really kind of out of sorts and desperate, but while she's doing that with Harry in tow in the background following her command, they are racking up an extremely high security bill, and the life that they're living is extremely expensive to fund. And a lot of royal commentators believe that they will not be able to make up enough money to fund this new life that they want. So another article that I came across was on news.com.au, a publication which was done March 15th. And this is really kind of old because this is way before their move to LA, quite a few weeks back. But it's still relevant because they actually done a breakdown summary of how much money they actually need to fund their lifestyle. And I couldn't agree more with the person who wrote this article because it really is the truth. The article is titled "Numbers Don't Add Up, Meghan and Harry's Big Money Mistake." So, Meghan and Harry have bold plans for life after their exit from the royal family, but the numbers on their new life just don't stack up. And they go on to talk about Prince Harry's speech that he gave at the JP Morgan event. And they said the sum of $37,000, how much Prince Harry would have earned during his speaking engagement at JP Morgan, which would be a lot of money for average people. So they go on to say here, this is a whopping life-changing sum of money, so large it could even buy a one-bedroom flat in inner Sydney. However, if your surname is Sussex, this might not be enough to cover your day-to-day expenses, which is true. We know that Meghan can spend quite easily £100,000 in one day, and probably does on a regular basis. So we know they need a lot of money. And then they break down how much they received from Charles via their Duchy of Cornwall Trust, the grant that he gives them. So it says here, according to them, 5% of their financing came from the sovereign grant. And we know that they've stepped down as senior royals, so they don't get that 5% anymore. And the other 95% of their income is from Charles, which is valued at an estimated £4.5 million. It says they currently receive £4.5 million. So you know, I mean, they said they want to be financially independent. We know that the Duchy of Cornwall Trust is a publicly funded trust. You know, everything that the royal family own and possess comes from the British taxpayer. In terms of monetary wise, we know that they receive a lot of gifts and etc. from the Commonwealth, but their direct funding comes from us, the UK taxpayer. Then they talk about how they were staying in the £20 million mansion in Canada, which we know now that is no longer. And they estimate that the budget for them to purchase a house that they would be happy with would be $10.5 million. So just starting out, that's $10.5 million just for their home. And we know that they are currently renting an $8 million home. But that is probably substandard for someone like Meghan, and she's probably looking to purchase something around, I would say, about $10 to $20 million because she likes to do everything big and expensive. Then they go in on her clothing budget and they say that in 2019 her wardrobe cost about $500,000, and because now she's not fulfilling so many royal roles, they estimate and assume that her clothing cost will drop to about half that, so to $250,000, and that would be a yearly sum. I personally think that her clothing cost is going to go through the roof because we know that as she was under having to keep to royal protocol, which she broke all the time, she had to taper it back, and she actually had to be a bit more, you know, discerning and modest with how much she spent. But I believe that her clothing budget, personally for me, is probably going to treble because she's going to be doing a lot more to get more clout and PR and attention. She's going to have to work really hard. And then we have the cost of their bodyguards. So the Mirror reported that the future cost for keeping them safe could be anywhere from $19.4 million to $39 million. I think it's definitely in that neighbourhood. I personally think that the costs are going to run to roughly around $29 million personally for me, because they like to fly private, they like to do elaborate things, they are heavily reliant on staff, nannies, at-home help. Baby Archie's always with some kind of assisted carer. We know that she has not left baby Archie with his grandma Doria due to the COVID, so she's now running the streets of LA with Harry, and when they're doing all of these things, he's been left with a nanny. He's been left with a whole team, I imagine, a security team, his own royal protection officers, nanny, you name it, it's there. Their bodyguard cost, I believe, is going to be about $29 million. They've estimated $19.4 million, which is real underestimation because they haven't accounted the fact that Archie, Harry and Meghan will at points of the year be at separate places and they'll all need their separate security team. Private jet costs, we know that Meghan loves a private jet. They estimate that each trip costs around $88,000. I believe that, I think it does cost about $88,000, but they're going to be doing this about 5 to 6 times a year. They've estimated that they'll do this maybe 4 times a year, so they have estimated that it's going to cost them $356,000. I think it's going to be way more than that. I think it's more like £500,000, to be honest. And then we have their office staff cost. So we know that they have now set up this Archwell brand, and they're going to have to staff it and have employees and have assistants to run it. So they've put here, while the Sussex family now might not need so much secretarial staff, they are still going to need various assistants to book travel and keep their lives running like clockwork. Therefore, let's work on the assumption they decide they want a team of 3 or more junior staff with 1 senior private secretary running the show. That would cost approximately $400,000. I think they got the staffing cost about right there. And then they break it down and they say, so their total expenditure per year, this is just a yearly budget for Meghan and Harry, which I still think the number is very modest, is $30.8 million. I don't have the conversion for UK pounds, but I think that would be about £22 million. I think it's going to be way more than that personally. I think it will be probably around £30 million. So they've put here, breaking that down, that equates to them having to do 28 JP Morgan style events a year, working on the assumption that they each pay around £1.1 million, which translates to more than one a fortnight, and that's just to tread financial water for the first 12 months of their new independent life. I just don't see Harry turning up for work twice a week, to do a speech twice a week. I don't think that he's going to hold his weight in gold for more than 12 months doing speeches at, bankings and opening of events. I just don't see it happening. So their financial security really does come into question. Can they really afford to sustain this A-list lifestyle that they're trying to do? I'm not being funny or anything, guys, but Meghan and Harry do look really desperate. They do look at a wit's end. She's not even brushing her hair anymore. She's running around in rags. She's desperate for likability because her neck is on the line. I think that they really are risking being in financial trouble and hot water because they don't have likability. They don't have popularity. Speaking engagements are not really going to be going ahead for quite a while and quite some time. So will these big banking firms who were going to do business with them, will they be willing to pay as much money with less people in attendance? We know that social distancing is going to be around for some time. In between that time, what are Meghan and Harry going to really do? You can't really pay someone $1.1 million, let alone pounds, to give a speech over Skype or to give a speech with a room full of 28 key members of that organisation. How is he going to get $1.1 million now? How is he going to get that money? And especially having to do that twice a week, I can't even foresee him getting $500,000 to give a speech to 28 people. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The whole dynamics, the whole economic landscape has changed. Anyway, guys, so yeah, that's the nuts and bolts of this video. That's what I personally think. I just think Meghan and Harry are in financial hot water and I don't really see much of a way out. Anyway, I'm going to go. Be back for another video. Bye.